we kept referring to where we were as the old world and this is the new world. We're like, the old world didn't look nothing like this. It was like some futuristic nature. It was on another level. I hope you find serenity. I hope you find serenity. Bro, we are back again with another episode of Dreamin' with Daja. As you can see, I'm literally still in the bed because I just woke up, and it's a shame that I haven't done more of these because honestly, I have been dreaming like crazy. I've had a lot of cool, interesting, vivid dreams. But sometimes I just be like, nobody cares. Nobody cares to hear about these dreams. So let me know in the comments if y'all even be keeping up with these, if y'all even be watching these. I do notice that these are like the least popular videos on my channel. But you know what? I don't care because some things are for me. But I got to talk about the dream I had last night. This is wild. So I have to give the precursor, and I think I've mentioned this in past videos, but I dream more vividly when I am not smoking any ganja. And at this point, I don't even know how many days it's been, but I haven't smoked ganja in a while. Like maybe, I feel like maybe 10 to 12 days, it feels like. Perhaps more, but like I said, I don't even remember the last time I did. So I can't say exactly how long, but it's been a while. It's been more than a week for sure. And it's not that I don't dream when I'm smoking, like I still do, but when I'm not smoking, it's like I dream more and more vividly. And I remember them like every single rising for the last like 8 to 9 days in a row. I have remembered my dreams. So that's why I can't do a dream with Deja every time I have a vivid dream. Y'all would be so tired of me. But last night's dream was quite vivid. It started off with me kind of like it's always hard for me too to do these videos because like I see them so vividly, but I don't always have the words to describe them clearly for y'all. But basically, I started out like in kind of like a big room, like an open space with a bunch of people. And I started to connect with this guy that was in the room. He was just this handsome black man. And I was also like singing and playing guitar. It seemed like we were just having a gathering, we were connecting and stuff. And me and him were just vibing. And then it was like in that moment, we just decided that we were together. Like we just came close together and started talking. And we were just, it was like, it went from me just being in the space and not really knowing who anybody was to being like, oh no, this is my partner. Like this is my person. So then we were together. And one of the things we were discussing within this group was like, we had heard that the world was about to end. Like people had told us that the world was going to be ending and that we were all basically like, what we had understood was that the world was going to dissolve and we were all going to end up floating in space. And so people were like doing their end of the world things, and our end of the world thing was having this gathering. And so me and this guy were just like, if the world's about to end, like you're who I want to like be with at the end of the world. Like I'm trying to like be with you. And like I was sitting on his lap, I was hugging him. And I feel like he was playing music too. And yeah, then it was a big group of us, and then we all went outside, and it was like the moment when the world was supposed to end and we didn't see anything. And then like a couple minutes later, suddenly when we went outside, it was all like beautiful nature and there was a big mountain range in the distance. And then suddenly everyone was yelling like, it's happening. And one of the mountains just dissolved, like completely dissolved. So like there was like all these big mountains in a row, and one went away and all that space got opened up. So then we were like, oh shit, it's happening. And this part of the dream got a little chaotic, so I can't say I remember all the details. I just know that yeah, like the world started to really dissolve and everyone got separated. And at first I was with this guy. We were like, we're ending the world. We're going to end the world together. And then like I couldn't find him anymore and I couldn't find anybody. And then like the dream kind of shifted. My dreams also, they be like movies. So like a scene will end and there will be like a blackout and then we're in a new scene. So uh in the new scene, like I woke up and it was like some people were still on earth, like the earth was still physically there, but everything did look different, like I couldn't like figure out where I was before. I felt lost. And then again, a bunch of people were around and they were all like going through it too. Like some of us didn't die, but some people disappeared. Mountains, trees, stuff, buildings, all that shit was gone. So then I saw other people like that were couples that were finding each other. They were finding each other after all the chaos. And I was like, where's my guy? And he didn't have a name in the dreams. I don't know what to call him. And he wasn't, I could see him. I can even remember how he looked, but he's not somebody who I know. So I don't know. I don't know. He was my dream man. LOL, my dream man, but just from this dream. And yeah, I was looking for him and I couldn't find him. And it's like life started to continue. And it's like people were trying to rebuild after everything fell apart. And I was kind of wandering around, like wondering where he was. And I was kind of sad. I was like, I wanted to be with him or whatever. Um, so yeah, people were slowly rebuilding. And in particular, there was kind of like this building, like it seemed like some parts of it fell apart, but it was still like it had most of its infrastructure. And I went upstairs to the top floor, and there was like this room where there was a door, but the door didn't even have a handle. It was just like a little hole where the handle should go. And like I went in there and I found him. But because of whatever chaos happened, he was now deaf. He couldn't speak. Or he could speak a little bit, but he couldn't hear anything. And so once I realized it was him, but then I realized he couldn't talk to me, like I found another lady who was an interpreter and she came into the room and she was interpreting for us. And we were talking, we are like, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I found you. And he was all like, no, but I can't hear you anymore. I can't hear you. I can't hear your music and all these things. And I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you can't hear. I just means I have to learn sign language. So then I'm having the lady teach me sign language and shit. And plus I got a little whiteboard with a marker so I could be writing stuff to him because he could still read and write. So throughout the dream, I would be writing shit to him. And I was like, I just got to take my time and write this shit out because I love this man. So that happened. And then we were up in this room and we were together and we were cuddling and stuff. And then we started to hear a lot of ruckus. Again, we're like in the top floor of like a bigger building. We started to hear ruckus down on the lower floor. And we started to have this fear of like, because everything had fallen apart and there was no government, it's like, there were like some people were trying to take over power or whatever. And we were just like, bro, we not trying to be around them. So there was that door to the building, but then there was also a door that for some reason, like on the other, like on one side of the room, there was a door to go more into the building. On the other side, there was another door. When you opened it, it was just nature. And it was a different scene than what we saw in the very beginning. But we saw out in the distance, um, like it's hard to remember, y'all. I wish I could just take it and show you on the video because this shit was a movie. But basically there was indigenous territories over on that way. And we saw a man like on a horse. So we were like, yo, there's still a whole world, a whole new world over here. So at first we like put stuff in front of the door to protect us, and then we were laying down. We're like, okay, in the morning we're going to go into the forest. Like, we're not about to stay here in this chaos. We're not about to stay in this. So we did that. We slept there. And then the next day we got up again. This was a long ass dream. I'd be dreaming all night. So we got up and we left. We left and we journeyed into this forest. And we went far, y'all. Like we were moving through all kinds of stuff. And then we had all these signs because he couldn't hear. Like I had something where like if I tapped this shoulder, it meant like step back, or if I tapped this shoulder, it meant let's go forward, or if I put my hands on both shoulders, it meant get down, like different things. Because also it was like a jungle with animals. Like we was seeing lions and gorillas and all type of shit. So yeah, we had all these little signs as well, and then we would be writing, and I'll be doing sign language or whatever. I would be talking, but I would still be doing sign language, and yeah. So we're moving through this forest. I don't think we really knew where we were going, but we were just like, this is better. But y'all, as we're moving through this forest, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's gorgeous. I mean, mountains and mountains of trees, rivers, like it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And we were like, this place wasn't affected. We were like, this was not touched by whatever just happened over there. And we kept referring to where we were as the old world. And this is the new world. We're like, the old world didn't look nothing like this. It was like some futuristic nature. It was on another level. I saw a lot of random weird dream things. Like we went through one path where there were gorillas sleeping in these big cardboard boxes. So we were like running past them really quickly so that the gorillas wouldn't see us. Which I was like, why are they in cardboard boxes? But it like open cardboard boxes, like they made a nest in there, but whatever. Um, and then we got to this point where we were moving through the forest and like there's an indigenous man that was walking behind the trees. Like we would see him for a second, then he'd be behind another tree. Then we would see him for a second, then he'd be behind another tree. And I was like, okay, let's slow down. We must be in somebody's territory. And then, sure enough, a big group of like a tribe came out, and they all had bows and arrows, and they was all looking at us like, what the fuck? But then they started singing and doing like a choreographed dance. What even is my subconscious mind? What even is my dream realm? Like they was dead ass doing a whole dance, but it didn't seem like cheesy or nothing. Like it seemed very sacred. And so they were yeah, they were doing this thing or whatever. And at first, I had a bow and arrow. Like my mind created it, and I was just like holding it up. But then I was like, if I hit one of them, they're just gonna all kill me. So then I took it and I threw it down, and then it dissolved, like it disappeared. Like, and I went back to being like, no, we don't even have weapons. We don't need weapons. Like it's one of those things in the dream realm where it's like, I think I need to protect myself, and then suddenly I'm like, I don't want to do that, and then I just kind of do a redo within the dream. So then at this point too, when they started coming at us, like I got onto his back. Like he was holding me on his back because that was his way of like protecting me. And also being like, if I gotta run, like I'm gonna just carry you because I run faster type shit. And I was just like, no, no. And I got down from his back and I went and I like bowed in front of them. And I was like, we don't have any weapons. We're not gonna hurt anybody. We're just trying to escape the old world. And so then they didn't hurt us. And then like this like kind of big, this big man, like chief man basically was like, oh, like he kind of welcomed us in. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he just welcomed us in and he was like, there's a place where you can stay here. But it's still a long journey. So he explained to us how to get there, and then we continued our journey. And also, like they gave it, like I don't remember what I was wearing that whole time, but then they gave us some clothes, and then suddenly, like he was not wearing a shirt, and the body was giving, the body was tea. And he was wearing some shorts that were made out of like tiger skin, and I was also wearing a dress made out of like tiger skin, that they gave us, and it was a cute little number. Like I was cute too. So then we were wearing those things, and then we kept moving through the forest, like by foot. And then we got to a point where there was a road, and they were like, and like there was a bus for us to get on. And we remember being like, I remember us being like, there's a bus here? Like, this is, I thought we were like literally in the middle of nowhere, but it's basically like there was like a big mountain range that was separating the new world from the old world. And once we, like, while we were moving through the mountain range, that's when everything was crazy and wild. But once we got to the other side, like they actually had a little bit more development, even though it was these were still indigenous people. Like these look like native people, like native how Native Americans look. So we got on this bus and it's a bunch of natives in there and they were looking at us like, who are these black people? And not to say that like they weren't all super light skinned, but none of them had this type of hair. They all had soft hair. So we did look distinctly different, even though some of them were a little dark. Like some of them were dark skinned, like some of them were like my skin color, but they just still looked different than I look. So they were kind of looking at us like funny. And at first the bus was really full and me and him kept switching, like you sit and then I'll sit and then you sit and then I'll sit, and then finally a seat opened up and we were like holding hands. And y'all, throughout this dream, like all this stuff was cool and interesting and it was like a movie, but the feeling with this guy was strong. Like it was a strong feeling of love and safety. And because I haven't been in a relationship in a while, it was also just a nice kind of experience to like be held, to hold hands with someone, to have someone who loves me. Like I'm not projecting that I'm trying to seek this out. Like I'm not gonna go look for this dream dude or nothing. It's just that it was a good feeling the whole dream. Like I had a deep sense of love for this person who I was with, like as I was, going through this journey with him. And then so we took this bus and we finally, like, the bus finally stopped us at this, it was like an apartment complex, but everything was made out of wood and you could tell that like people just put it together, like it wasn't like super industrial. And there was a lot of trees and flowers and bushes and gardens and stuff all around. So it was like, again, like a new earth version of an apartment place. So we were like, oh my god, this is so nice, like what the freak. And so that chief guy who we had met earlier, he basically was saying that he had a space and he was going to let us stay in it. So we found the number that he told us. I don't remember what it was, y'all, but it was a number on a door, kind of like in apartments. But we went in there, and this place was nice. Like it wasn't even an apartment that we saw at first. We saw a big, like when we opened the door to the apartment, it was actually like a big garage, and there was these nice ass cars in there, and then a bunch of other random stuff that seemed like, you know, super futuristic and technological. And we kind of were like, what the fuck? Like, how did they have this? Like, what even is this? Like, what is this here? Like a big ass truck. Like, I don't know cars, but it seemed like an Escalade or something like that. Like a big ass black truck, a big ass white truck. It was very yin and yang. We're in this big open space. And then there was a door in the back of that garage. And we opened it, and it was a little music studio. Like, and this one had a note on it from him basically saying this is where he was going to let us stay. We opened the door, and it was just a little music studio with like a computer, a desk, what's it called? A keyboard, a tiny drum, and some space, a little couch. It was like it wasn't a huge space, but it was a space. And we were just looking at each other like, what is this? We were also excited because we both played music and we hadn't been able to play music in all this time or whatever. So I immediately started organizing the space to open up a little corner for us to sleep and to set aside this guy's music stuff. And whenever he came back, we were like, "How do you have all this?" And he basically said it was like for research. And he's like, "We collect things, and some of them they use. Like he's like the music stuff we use, but like the cars and stuff, like we collect these things." And I didn't really get too deep into it. I don't know any more that he said about that. And throughout the night, I kind of started to wake up, and then I would go back to sleep, and I would still find myself in the same dream. And we got to a point where like these ladies did a ceremony for the dude I was with herbs, and they like literally made these teas and they were like seeping them in his ears, and he could hear again. He was no longer deaf, and finally I could talk to him and he could hear me and all this stuff. And yeah, I honestly, I can't remember nothing else except for that. Suddenly he could hear, and we were sleeping in this place. And I asked if I could play the keyboard, and the guy said yes. And yeah, then just love, love, love. Like, even though I'm saying a lot of different things, the theme of the dream was this love that I had with this man, and us finding each other from the old world to the new world. So that's what I dreamt last night. And I actually had other dreams too, but this is the one that felt important, like enough to share. I I have a lot of feelings about it. I've had a dream before about like the end of the world coming. And for me, it is such a welcome thing. It's so welcome for me that the world kind of end and be born again. And it was cool because in the beginning, when I thought the world was ending, I thought, I was going to die, and I had accepted it. I thought everything was going to dissolve. But the reality was only some things dissolved. And this place, the new earth with all the indigenous people, it felt like they were always there from the beginning, and they just couldn't be touched by the chaos. They just couldn't be touched by the ending because they were actually sustainable. And I was like, the deeper we go into nature, the more sustainable we can become. Pardon my yawning, y'all. um so with that, I feel complete. I need to know what y'all think. I need to know if y'all even care to hear about these dreams. I'm really hoping like some like dream interpreter starts to watch these and can give me the full tea, because I'm trying to know what's up. I really don't have no real interpretation, but I'm gonna continue to process it and see if anything comes up. But honestly, it was a movie. It was absolutely beautiful. The visuals were incredible, and I'd be happy to go back to that place again in another dream just to be there again, just experience it. So yeah, that was my dream last night. Thank y'all so much for listening. Peace.
Hope you find serenity.